In 2022, Amazon released the first season of the series, The Lord of the Rings: Rings of Power. The reviews were less than glowing, and fans were upset with many aspects of the show, such as the unfaithful lore, outfit choices, and the apparent lack of the spirit of Middle-earth's culture. However, there is one added storyline that most fans agree captures what an adaptation of Tolkien's works should capture, and that storyline is the one involving Elrond and Prince Durin IV.
I always thought you were mighty Dwarvish for an elf.
And you are a rather Elvish dwarf, Durin. Son of Durin. Grandson.
Scoff,
Of-
if you like. The mightiest thing a dwarf can do is to be worthy of the name of his father.
Personally, it is my favorite storyline of the series, and the reason many fans enjoyed this storyline the most is because it does a fantastic job of adapting one of Tolkien's main themes from his works, friendship. As Gandalf reflects in front of the gates of Moria, I had only speak the elven word for friend, and the doors opened. Quite simple. Too simple for a learned lore master in these suspicious days. Those were happier times. Gandalf's words speak of the time when the bond between elves and dwarves was the strongest, emphasized by the construction of the Gate of Moria. This is the time that Elrond and Durin are on the path of cultivating in Rings of Power. J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay, the creators of Rings of Power, adapt and expand Tolkien's theme of friendship through the complex relationship between Elrond and Prince Durin IV. By analyzing the relationship between these two characters, I will show how they embody the theme of friendship that Tolkien valued in his work, while also introducing new complexities to the concept. Before we can talk about how Rings of Power adapts the theme of friendship, we must understand what the theme of friendship is in Tolkien's works. Despite the abundance of articles discussing various aspects of Tolkien's legendarium, scholarly attention on the theme of friendship is surprisingly limited. While we can find plenty of writing on Tolkien's friendship with C.S. Lewis, the exploration of friendship within the legendarium remains relatively untouched. Perhaps friendship is considered an obvious theme, not worth exploring in detail, but I would argue that all aspects of Tolkien's work merit further exploration. Let's examine what scholarly work does exist on this theme to gain a deeper understanding. In her commentary, Friendship in Tolkien's World, Martina Yurakova writes, "In some degree, friendship is present in all of Tolkien's writings, but it is never so vivid and developed as it is in The Lord of the Rings. Friendship is what saves the world in The Lord of the Rings, as Frodo couldn't have made it to Mount Doom without Sam there to encourage him and offer support throughout the journey." One of my favorite quotes is from Bilbo at his farewell party when he says,
I don't know half of you half as well as I should like, and I like less than half of you half as well as you deserve.
At first glance, this might seem like an insult, but it's really Bilbo showing his appreciation of his friends and acquaintances in typical Bilbo fashion. There are countless friendships within Tolkien's works. Frodo and Sam, Legolas and Gimli, Bilbo and Thorin, all of the members of the Fellowship together, the list goes on. Each friendship offers different insights into what being a good friend truly means and what that can look like, but they all show that the love of friendship brings people together. But what does true friendship entail for the characters in Middle-earth? In an essay on the theme of friendship in The Lord of the Rings, Magnus Thordarson posits that loyalty, honesty, mutual respect, and disregard of social class or previous history are among the things that Tolkien values in a friendship, and the friendship in Lord of the Rings are grounded in those factors. These traits represent the spirit of true friendship in Tolkien's works, making those who uphold them true friends. Indeed, these are all traits that Elrond and Durin managed to maintain throughout the series, making them true friends. Friendship is undoubtedly an important theme in Tolkien's works. As Yurakova explains, Tolkien knew that true friendship has a magical power when one is alone and with an unfortunate fate. The profound bond between Sam and Frodo illustrates this power vividly, with the most obvious example being when Sam decides to go with Frodo at the end of the Fellowship of the Ring.
Go back, Sam! I'm going to Mordor alone.
Of course you are! And I'm coming with you!
He goes with Frodo, who feels that he must carry out this quest alone, but as we see later, it's because of Sam that Frodo even makes it to Mount Doom. Perhaps through a magical power, as Yurakova puts it, their bond fuels them to complete their quests. She also notes that the significance of friendship that can be perceived in the books is not surprising. Due to the significance of friendship in the books, any adaptation should faithfully portray this theme. While adaptations inevitably bring change, they should ultimately retain the spirit of the source material. However, they should be able to bring new dimensions to the theme. Rings of Power accomplishes this through their portrayal of Elrond and Durin's friendship while drawing inspiration from only a few lines of Tolkien's work. Now you may be wondering, where does Elrond and Durin's storyline come from? Rings of Power itself is based on events from the Second Age of Middle-earth. As for Elrond and Durin, Tolkien never mentions Elrond having a personal relationship with the Durin. Their actual storyline originates from bits and pieces of lore across the Legendarium. Most notable is a quote from Appendix B of The Lord of the Rings. It reads, "The Noldor were great craftsmen and less unfriendly to the dwarves than the Sindar, but the friendship that grew between the people of Durin and the elven smiths of Eregion was the closest that there has ever been between the two races." Additionally, in the Peoples of Middle-earth of Dwarves and Men, Tolkien writes, "Celebrimbor was a great silversmith and went to Eregion attracted by the rumors of the marvelous metal found in Moria silver, to which he gave the name Mithril. In the working of this, he became a rival of the dwarves, or rather an equal, for there was a great friendship between the dwarves of Moria and Celebrimbor, and they shared their skills and craft secrets." Both quotes, along with a few others, mention the closeness of the Noldor elves, specifically Celebrimbor and the dwarves of Moria. In Tolkien's writing, Gil-galad doesn't send Elrond to Eregion until after the War of the Elves and Sauron begins and after the Three Rings are forged, which is where the first season of Rings of Power ends. While taking liberties with the storyline, Rings of Power brings Elrond into the tales of the Second Age earlier and puts him at the center of the closeness between elves and dwarves rather than Celebrimbor. I agree with this narrative decision because I think it further solidifies Elrond as a prominent being throughout the Legendarium. In his critical companion to The Hobbit, Robert Talley Jr. writes about Elrond. Elrond, whose father was a man and mother an elf, symbolizes the bridge between elves and men. Elrond plays a role in all of Tolkien's tales, having witnessed the fall of Gondolin in the First Age, fought Sauron in the War of the Last Alliance in the Second Age, and featuring prominently in the events of the Third Age. He helps to mark the transition from the Elder Days, the epoch of elves, to our time. Talley's analysis of Elrond brings up the interesting point that Elrond is both the bridge between the races and the bridge between the three ages. The creators of Rings of Power's choice to make Elrond more central to the events of the Second Age emphasizes this bridge. Some may not agree with this change, but I think it adds a new layer of depth to Elrond's character, and makes sense given that he's half-elf, which he later uses in his plea for help to King Durin. While exploring the world of The Lord of the Rings in his book, Michael Stanton explains that Elrond, along with the help of others, maintains a refuge and meeting place for folk from all over Middle-earth. The meeting place Stanton is referring to is Rivendell, but more importantly, he explains that Rivendell is a refuge for all folk of Middle-earth, not just the elves. Elrond has this unique acceptance of other races, perhaps because of his half-elven descent. This acceptance makes it more plausible for him to be friends with Durin, a dwarf, a race elves are known for not getting along with. The first season of Rings of Power uses Elrond and Durin's friendship instead of Celebrimbor's friendship towards the dwarves of Moria to usher in this new era of closeness between the elves and dwarves, which Tolkien talks about in his writings and Gandalf recalls at the Gate of Moria. However, before they can reach that closeness, they must deal with their issues. Elves and dwarves have always had contentious relationships in Tolkien's works. In The Hobbit, he writes, "Dwarves don't get on well with elves. Even decent enough dwarves like Thorin and his friends think them foolish, or get annoyed with them. Legolas and Gimli are aggressive towards each other until they become friends. Even the elves and dwarves of Rings of Power experience this."
Bit sudden for elves, no? Typically takes you people weeks just to decide to take a shit.
If I may, the hand of time crawls so slowly for our kind. We often overlook the years of effort we perceive as taking but a moment.
In so doing, I would not wish to offend our guest.
I would think our dwarven friend far too stout of heart to be offended by an honest inquiry.
I have an honest inquiry for you. From where did you procure
the table.
Why do you ask?
This stone grows only at certain depths. So rarely do our resonators locate a deposit. We consider each to be a precious gift. We reserve its use for the most sacred purposes. Monuments or tombs to our honored dead.
Please forgive our sacrilege, Lord Durin. We shall have to send it home with you so it can be treated with the proper respect.
It's good to know there's still some honor left among the elves.
Stanton clarifies the origin of the elves and dwarves and how that contributes to their difficult relationship by writing. The dwarves were not allowed to wake before the elves awoke, but there was nonetheless a sense of hostility from the beginning between elf and dwarf, because the latter, the children of Aule, had, as it were, intervened or been interposed in the unfolding of Iluvatar's creation. The dwarfs are punished through no fault of their own from the start of their existence. There is inherent hierarchy in the relationship between elves and dwarves, as the elves were created first, putting them at the top, while the dwarfs were purposely awakened later as a punishment to Aule for creating them. Because of this, as well as some events from their history, there is contention between the races. In the case of Legolas and Gimli, we see how their common quest and shared journey bring them together and allow them to overcome their differences. This idea of a shared journey to bring characters together is common throughout the Legendarium. However, Elrond and Durin showcase a new pattern of friendship. By the time we meet them, they already have a history. We don't get to see their journey to friendship, but we do get to see how they mend and strengthen their damaged relationship.
Remarkable. I never dreamed to find your city so changed.
Well, 20 years will do that.
Has it been only 20? Just tell me your secret.
Our secrets are our own.
Durin, have I offended you?
To answer that one, we'd need a longer lift.
If you wish to discharge me without explanation, that is your choice.
Bet your feathery shirty tights.
But before squandering the best opportunity any dwarf princess had in a generation, you might at least listen to the proposal I bring.
Ah, there it is. The true purpose of your visit. You want something.
I journeyed here to see my friend whom I've greatly missed.
Missed? You missed my wedding. The birth of my children, 2 of them. You cannot barge into my mountain and demand I welcome you with open arms. You cannot claim that which you discarded.
Discarded? Durin,
20 years may be the blink of an eye to an elf. But I've lived an entire life in that time. A life you missed. So what do you have to say to that, friend?
Congratulations on your wife, your children. I hope you can come to forgive me. And I would like very much to apologize to your family as well.
Being an elf with an infinite lifespan, 20 years may not seem like that long to Elrond, and because of this, he misses major moments in Durin's life. However, he admits this mistake, immediately explains why he is there, and apologizes, displaying honesty, which Thordarson emphasizes being crucial aspects of friendship. After Durin explains why he's mad at Elrond, and Elrond apologizes, we see that there is still tension between the two. However, Disa pleads with them to mend their issues.
No! Has it? Owley's beard! Can you not find a way to mend this?
I see you planted the sapling.
Planted it, raised it up, tends it like it's our 3rd child.
What sort of tree is it, exactly?
A seedling of our great tree in Linden, the very symbol of our people's strength and vitality.
Some called him a fool for believing it would grow in such darkness.
Where there is love, it is never truly dark. How could it not grow in a home like yours?
She's encouraging Durin to remember the love that he has for Elrond, and to hear out Elrond, who is in need. She asks Elrond about the tree so that Durin can be reminded why he takes care of it so dearly. In a way, Elrond and Durin's reconciliation is the first step towards the closeness between the Elves and the Dwarves that the appendix speaks of, when the friendship that grew between the people of Durin and the Elven Smiths of Eregion was the closest that there had ever been between the two races. By overcoming their differences and reconciling, Durin and Elrond can bring about this new age of closeness. Elrond shows his love and respect for Durin by not attempting to deceive him. It's also because Durin loves and respects Elrond that he is so hurt by Elrond missing 20 years of his life. Because of this mutual love and respect they have for each other, they're able to overcome this obstacle rather quickly and reconcile their friendship. By showing them overcoming this personal rift and subsequent reconciliation, the creators of Rings of Power offer a nuanced portrayal of friendship we haven't seen before in Middle-earth, showcasing the resilience and depth of long-term friendships. Once Elrond and Durin resolve their falling out, we can see just how strong their connection is. They display a deep brotherly connection, which Durin says so himself when he's pleading with his father to come to the elves' aid.
Elrond is as much a brother to me as if he'd been fired in my own mother's womb.
In Dwarven culture, secrecy is of utmost importance. Specifically, their language is secret and sacred. About it, Stanton writes that the language of the Dwarves is difficult and closely held. Few outsiders can learn it. He goes on to explain that most secret of all are the Dwarves' own names, spoken only among themselves. The Dwarves do not allow others the power over them that knowing their real names might confer. Durin was prepared to tell Elrond his secret name.
We do have our secret names, for use only amongst ourselves. We reveal them only to family, wives, parents, sisters, brothers. Elrond.
You save it, Durin. For the far side.
Aye.
As we see, Elrond stops him before he can. He understands how important and sacred true names are to dwarves. Durin respects and trusts Elrond enough to tell him his secret name, and Elrond shows his respect for Durin by stopping him before he can reveal it. Elrond wants them to remain equals by not having that power over Durin. Their mutual respect and loyalty displayed in this scene further cultivates their brotherly bond, which is quite unconventional for an elf and a dwarf. Of course, when we think of unconventional elf-dwarf friendships, we think of Legolas and Gimli. Elrond and Durin's banter does feel similar to Legolas and Gimli's, and many fans have pointed out this similarity and dynamic as well. In an essay detailing Tolkien's revisions to his books, as well as Peter Jackson's revision to the films, Diana Paxson writes, "In any translation of narrative to drama, the adapter must focus on the essence of the story. Elrond and Durin's banter being reminiscent of Legolas and Gimli's is important because it captures the essence of Middle-earth friendships. Even when faced with dire circumstances, they maintain a playful banter, emulating Legolas and Gimli's dynamic in The Lord of the Rings. My favorite example of their banter is when they recount how they met.
I was asking Elrond.
Then I fear I have no choice but to amend your husband's account. There were 3 trolls, and it was I who saved him.
You wouldn't remember your face if you were gazing in a mirror.
When I came upon him in the forest, he was in the midst of dodging their mallet blows, wailing, screaming and something.
It was a battle cry.
The screams were so high-pitched, I thought it was a child, so I took up my bow.
It was a sword.
It was a bow.
It was
Regardless.
a sword.
To me, this scene brings to mind the counting kills back and forth between Legolas and Gimli in the Two Towers.
Legolas! 2 already! I'm on 17! Ah! I have no point to you outscoring me!
Another fun example of their banter is when Elrond is asking for Durin's help, as the Mithril is the only chance to save his people.
So the fate of the entire elven race is in my hands.
So it would appear.
Say that again.
The fate of the entire elven race is in your hands.
Whose hands?
Yours.
Fetch your feathery shirts. Let's start walking.
Durin.
Don't thank me yet.
This light-hearted and teasing relationship, even amidst chaos and dire circumstances, closely captures the essence of Tolkien's friendships, but it also expands the theme of friendship by showing us former friends who overcome an issue from their past. This fulfills Paxton's guideline for adaptations by capturing the essence of the source material, but it also interprets it in a new light. Paxton also writes, rather than simply comparing the book and the film, we may consider multiplicity of visions. She goes on to discuss how every adaptation and iteration of The Lord of the Rings, whether in book or film form, offers its own perspective on the world, contributing new insights overall. I've already talked about one way in which Elrond and Durin's storyline provides a new perspective on friendship, but there is a larger way in which the creators use Elrond and Durin to expand on the theme of friendship. They do this by showing the difficulties of friendship when it opposes their duty to their people.
It's hard to see what is right when friendship and duty are mingled.
Such is the burden of those who lead, and those who would seek to.
During the events of the Second Age, Tolkien explains that the reason the elves went to Moria is because they learned that Mithril had been discovered in Moria. In the Rings of Power, Gil-galad and Celebrimbor have similar reasons for wanting to go to Moria. Elrond does not originally know that this is why Gil-galad sent him to Celebrimbor, and subsequently why they go to Khazad-dûm. Durin suspects that Elrond is there for reasons other than friendship, and Elrond suspects that Durin is hiding something from him. They go back and forth with suspicions of each other and their motives. They each have duties to uphold to their people since they are high-standing members of their societies, and these duties directly oppose each other. Durin is trying to appease his father by keeping the secrecy surrounding Mithril, while Elrond needs to use the Mithril to save his people. Duty and friendship are concepts that are familiar in Tolkien's works, but we have never seen them contrasted so harshly. Yurikova explains that at the end of the Fellowship of the Ring, Aragorn chooses friendship over his duty when he leaves Frodo to go after Merry and Pippin.
I would have gone with you to the end. Into the very fires of Mordor.
I know. Look after the others. Especially Sam. He will not understand.
Go, Frodo.
However, I would argue that later in the story, Aragorn's duty as leader and the rightful king of Gondor coincides with his duty to his friends, as he uses the battles to distract Sauron from Sam and Frodo's quest. Elrond and Durin do not have the benefit of their duty to their people coinciding with their duty as friends. This adds new complexity to the idea of duty versus friendship. There is no correct answer here. In our eyes, Elrond would not be an immoral character for saving his people by going behind Durin's back. Durin would not be an immoral character for refusing to help Elrond in order to keep the secrets of his people. However, with friendship being so valuable within Tolkien's works, forsaking a true friendship in order to uphold one's duty would be seen as an immoral decision. While considering this moral dilemma, Elrond and Durin do not make the decision to choose friendship over duty lightly. We see Elrond questioning Gil-galad's motive for sending him to Celebrimbor in the first place.
Your loyalty to the dwarf is admirable.
Loyalty to a friend ought to be expected, regardless of his race.
Does it justify lying to your king?
I wonder, High King, if it is in fact you who has been lying to me. I went to Khazad-dûm with a proposal of friendship, but in truth, you sought something far more tangible, didn't you?
We see Durin questioning his father's, the king's, decision to keep Mithril a secret and not come to the elves' aid.
To defend your decision to betray your own kind! No! It's you that's betrayed our kind! Squandering our future so you can cling to the past! You profaned the crown you wear!
Before Durin even reveals the mithril to Elrond, he makes him swear an oath.
I care nothing for whatever is in that chamber. I do care for you, for this friendship. And secrets do not become it. What is the meaning of all this?
I need your oath. Hunter Mountain, you'll never breathe so much as a whisper of what I'm about to tell you to another living soul. Dwarven anger outlives even elven memory. Break your promise, and the power of this stone will doom you and your kin to sorrow to your last day on this Middle Earth. Do you swear it, Elrond?
I swear on the memory of my father, Eärendil the Mariner. Anything you tell me here will end in my ears alone.
Elrond has a few chances to break this oath, and I will admit I was a bit worried that he might. Breaking an oath is not taken lightly in Tolkien's world, so it would be just as devastating in the Rings of Power. Elrond is in an impossible situation where he's forced to choose between saving the elves, thus betraying Durin and his oath, or upholding his oath and remaining loyal to his friend, but forsaking his people. Ultimately, he refuses to break his oath to Durin.
I ask again, and for the last time. Did the dwarves find the ore or not?
I swore an oath to Durin. To some, that may now hold little weight. But in my esteem, it is by such things our very souls are bound. I do not intend to let mine slip away on the basis of mere hope.
Hope is never mere, Elrond. Even when it is meager. When all other senses sleep, the eye of hope is first to awaken, last to shut.
This leads to Elrond and Durin pleading to King Durin to allow them to mine mithril, which he refuses.
But you can trust me, for I am no common elf, but Elrond half-elven. And I see in elves that which they cannot see in themselves. That is why I stand before you now alone, pleading for you to save my people. Please, noble king, help us.
My friend is drowning, reaching for me to pull him to shore. You expect me to swat his hand away because you're afraid of a bloody rockfall?
The fate of the elves was decided many ages ago by minds much wiser, much farther seeing than our own. Defy their will, and this entire kingdom might fall. Perhaps the entire Middle Earth.
In a testament to how important they are to each other, Durin mines the mithril for Elrond and the elves.
Durin.
It was against Dwarven culture of secrecy for Durin to even reveal the mithril to Elrond, but to deliberately disobey his father's decision and mine the mithril is seen as a major betrayal to his duty. However, it is the right choice as he chooses to help a true friend. Even through the struggles they face, Elrond and Durin continuously choose to remain loyal and honest to each other in their friendship. They are determined to find other solutions to their issues rather than forsaking their friendship. To conclude, in Paxton's words, many an exquisitely crafted work of literature withers in libraries unread. The really great tales are those to which each new version adds richness. The creators of Rings of Power managed to create an intricate and touching relationship based on only a few bits and pieces from Tolkien's writings. Elrond and Durin capture the spirit of friendship in Tolkien's Legendarium with a dynamic reminiscent of Legolas and Gimli. They show what it is to be a true friend, but they also add richness by addressing new challenges of friendship that haven't been considered before in Tolkien's work. They show the reconciliation of old friends and the struggle between doing what is right for their people and doing what is right for their friendship. Through Elrond and Durin, we can see how a future where elves and dwarves are close is possible, and I'm excited to see what the creators decide to do with their story next. And with that, I leave you not with goodbye, but with Namadie, because
we do not say goodbye. We say no more.
Namadie.
Means more than simply farewell. It means go towards goodness.